Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Alright guys, buckle up because this story coming out of Miami is getting wild. And it's one of those moments where you can just feel the tension in the air down in South Florida. It's about the Dolphins. It's about their head coach Mike McDaniel. And it's about a billionaire owner who's apparently running out of patience faster than a quarterback running from a blitz. Yeah, we're talking about Stephen Ross, the man who's never been afraid to make big moves, write big checks, and chase that elusive Lombardi trophy. But according to multiple league sources, including NFL insider Tony Pauline, it sounds like Ross might be done waiting for McDaniel's grand offensive experiment to finally pay off. And if the team doesn't turn things around soon, we're talking within the next 2 or 3 games, we could be witnessing the end of the Mike McDaniel era in Miami. Now, let's rewind a bit and paint the full picture here, because this situation didn't just pop up overnight. Remember how high the hype was when McDaniel first took over in 2022? He was supposed to be the next great offensive mind, a genius who came from that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, bringing creativity, motion, and a whole new energy to Miami. His quirky personality and his unique football brain made him a fan favorite early on. People loved his press conferences, his jokes, his analytical mind, and the way he seemed to connect with players on a human level. The Dolphins were supposed to become this dynamic, fast, high-scoring machine that could finally keep up with the likes of the Chiefs and Bills. But fast forward to now, and that optimism has completely evaporated. The team sits at 1-4 after an embarrassing collapse against the Carolina Panthers, a game where they somehow blew a 17-0 lead and looked completely lost by the fourth quarter. And that right there, according to reports, might have been the last straw for Stephen Ross. Tony Pauline's report is painting a pretty grim picture. He said that after the Dolphins' Week 1 blowout loss, insiders already started whispering that McDaniel's seat was warming up, that if he didn't turn things around in the next 6 or 7 games, he could be shown the door before the season even ended. And now, a few weeks later, those whispers are turning into shouts. The word is that Ross's patience has just about run out, and if Miami doesn't show serious improvement over the next 2 to 3 games, McDaniel could be fired mid-season. That's right, we might actually see the Dolphins pull the plug before Christmas if things don't start moving in the right direction. And honestly, based on the team's current trajectory, that doesn't sound like some wild conspiracy. It sounds like a real possibility. But let's talk about why this is happening, because the frustration in Miami isn't just about 1 or 2 bad losses. It's about expectations. This team was supposed to be so much better. They've spent years building a roster full of speed and playmaking talent. They've got Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. They've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, arguably the fastest receiving duo in the league. And they've got an owner who spent millions to make sure the Dolphins stay competitive. They invested in the offensive line, the defense, and even brought in Vic Fangio last season to toughen up that side of the ball. And yet here they are, sitting at 1-4, looking disorganized, inconsistent, and frankly uninspired. It's the kind of underachievement that drives NFL owners crazy, especially one like Ross, who's in his 80s and desperate to win now. Now, there are conflicting reports out there. Some insiders have said Ross doesn't want to fire McDaniel, that he's still fond of him personally and appreciates what he's tried to build. But let's be real. Patience only lasts so long in the NFL, especially when the losses start piling up and the locker room starts to lose belief. That blown 17-0 lead against the Panthers was more than just another L. It was a symbol of this team's identity crisis, a soft underbelly that no amount of offensive scheming can fix. You can tell Ross is tired of hearing about potential. He wants results, and he wants them yesterday. Now, Pauline didn't stop there. He also mentioned that general manager Chris Grier might not be safe either. His sources say that while it's less likely Grier gets fired mid-season, he's definitely on thin ice. And honestly, that makes sense. Grier's been with the organization forever, and while he's made some smart moves, like drafting Tua, trading for Tyreek Hill, and helping to rebuild the roster, he's also been part of every major disappointment this franchise has suffered in recent years. If this thing keeps spiraling, Ross might decide it's time to wipe the slate clean entirely. And you can bet there are already whispers in NFL circles about who might be next in line if that happens. And that's where things get really interesting, because Pauline's report throws out a name that's sure to get fans talking: Rex Ryan. Yeah, you heard that right. Apparently, league insiders believe that if or when McDaniel gets fired, the Dolphins could pivot toward a disciplinarian type of coach, someone who's tough, old school, and brings a no-nonsense attitude to a team that's been seen as a bit too soft. And Rex Ryan, the former Jets and Bills head coach, is one of the names being floated around. Can you imagine that? Going from the calm, quirky McDaniel to the fiery, outspoken Rex Ryan? That would be one of the biggest personality 180s in recent NFL history. But honestly, that's kind of what makes it believable. Ross has always been drawn to big personalities, and Rex, love him or hate him, would instantly shake things up in Miami. It's almost like history repeating itself. The Dolphins have been through so many coaching changes over the past 2 decades, each time chasing a different type of leader to fix the team's identity. They've gone from the strict disciplinarian types like Joe Philbin to the player-friendly ones like Adam Gase and McDaniel. But the results always end up the same: flashes of brilliance followed by stretches of mediocrity. And now, Ross might be ready to swing the pendulum back the other way. Maybe he's decided that McDaniel's laid-back style just isn't what this roster needs. Maybe he's thinking the team needs someone who's going to command the room, challenge players, and hold them accountable in a way McDaniel hasn't been able to. Whatever the case, it sounds like Ross is ready to make a statement if things don't turn around fast. It's crazy to think that just a season ago, McDaniel was one of the hottest names in football. The Dolphins' offense was electric, Tua was playing at an MVP level early in the year, and everyone was talking about how innovative and fun this team was. They looked like the future. But now, the narrative's completely flipped. Suddenly, people are questioning McDaniel's leadership, his game management, and his ability to make adjustments when things go wrong. His background as a brilliant offensive mind isn't being questioned. The guy knows how to design plays. But in the NFL, being a head coach is about a lot more than just drawing up cool routes. It's about motivating players, managing egos, adapting under pressure, and finding ways to win ugly games. And right now, McDaniel's Dolphins can't win ugly. They either dominate when everything clicks, or they fall apart when adversity hits. And that inconsistency is exactly what's driving Ross crazy. Let's not forget, McDaniel's record with the Dolphins isn't exactly lighting the world on fire. He's 29-27 overall with 2 playoff appearances and 0 playoff wins. For a franchise that's been starving for postseason success, that's just not good enough. Especially when you consider the investment Ross has made in both money and talent. The guy wants to see results now, not promises for later. And after watching his team collapse week after week, you can understand why his patience is wearing thin. It's not just about the record, it's about how they're losing. Blown leads, missed opportunities, lack of physicality, all signs of a team that's lost its edge. And honestly, if you're McDaniel, this is a defining moment. He's got maybe 2 or 3 games left to save his job. The schedule doesn't do him any favors either. Up next, the Dolphins face the Chargers, the Browns, and the Falcons, 3 teams that are all fighting for playoff spots and not exactly pushovers. If McDaniel somehow rallies the troops and gets this team to win 2 of those 3, maybe he buys himself a little more time. But if they keep playing like they did against Carolina, it's hard to imagine Ross sitting on his hands any longer. He's made it clear he's not afraid to pull the trigger when he feels it's time. So yeah, buckle up, because the next few weeks in Miami could get messy. This isn't just about one coach or one bad season. It's about a franchise that's been chasing relevance for decades. It's about an owner who's running out of time and patience. And it's about a young coach who came in as the next great offensive hope, but might be heading toward one of the fastest falls from grace we've seen in a while. If this really is the beginning of the end for Mike McDaniel, it's a reminder of just how brutal the NFL can be. 1 minute, you're the genius everyone's talking about. The next, you're on the hot seat, fighting for your job. And in Miami right now, the heat couldn't be higher. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Something absolutely explosive is shaking the NFL world behind the scenes, and it involves none other than JEVON Holland, the Miami Dolphins' talented safety, in a way that could stir controversy far beyond the locker room. Sources close to the team, speaking under the cover of anonymity, have revealed that Holland recently let off steam in private conversations, expressing frustration and even anger about the dynamics within the Dolphins squad. According to what's being whispered in football circles, Holland allegedly said that the group lost respect for the coaching staff and each other, a statement that is already creating ripples of speculation and concern among fans, analysts, and insiders alike. The exact context of these comments is unclear, but insiders suggest they came during a heated exchange at the team's facility, possibly after a string of disappointing performances and ongoing locker room tension that has been quietly building throughout the season. Holland, who has always been known for his quiet professionalism and focus on the field, reportedly shocked teammates and staff alike by voicing such direct criticism, signaling that frustrations have reached a breaking point. If true, Holland's remarks could indicate more than just a momentary flare-up. They might reflect deeper issues within a team that has struggled to find consistency despite having immense talent on both sides of the ball. The Dolphins have had moments of brilliance this season, flashes where the defense looks impenetrable and the offense seems ready to dominate any opponent. Yet, according to sources close to the locker room, those moments have often been overshadowed by internal disagreements, miscommunications, and a sense that certain key players are no longer fully aligned with the leadership's vision. Holland's outburst, described by insiders as raw and unfiltered, reportedly captured the frustrations of a few other players who feel that the culture of accountability and mutual respect has eroded. It's one thing for a player to vent in private, but when those words start to leak into the public domain, intentionally or not, it has the potential to spark debates, media speculation, and even internal investigations. Fans are already buzzing online, dissecting every snippet of the rumor, wondering what it means for team chemistry, upcoming games, and the long-term direction of the franchise. The circumstances surrounding Holland's statement are murky, but insiders claim that tensions had been simmering for weeks before this particular episode. Behind closed doors, disagreements over play calling, the handling of younger players, and the distribution of leadership roles seem to have created a subtle but significant rift in the locker room. Holland, known for his fiery competitiveness and commitment to excellence, reportedly expressed frustration not only with the team's performance, but with what he perceives as a lack of respect for effort, preparation, and accountability among his peers. According to those who claim to have heard his remarks firsthand, Holland's exact words were along the lines of, "The group lost respect, respect for each other, respect for the game, respect for the coaches. It's killing us from the inside out." Such a statement, if accurate, speaks volumes about the internal culture that may be quietly undermining the team's potential. In a league where cohesion and morale are often just as critical as talent, the suggestion that respect has eroded is significant, especially from a player of Holland's caliber, whose influence extends far beyond the defensive backfield. Holland's reputation within the NFL has always been that of a disciplined, focused, and respected player who leads more by example than by words. That is why this alleged venting is particularly noteworthy. The Dolphins organization has a history of strong personalities, both on the field and in the front office, and handling conflicts like this requires a delicate balance. Rumors suggest that Holland's comments were met with a mix of reactions. Some teammates reportedly sympathized, quietly agreeing with his assessment, while others were stunned, perceiving the remarks as a direct challenge to the authority of the coaching staff. In professional sports, these behind-the-scenes dynamics can have lasting consequences, from trade considerations to shifts in team leadership. Analysts are already speculating whether Holland could become a central figure in a broader locker room shakeup, especially if tensions continue to simmer unchecked. Even without official confirmation, the whispers themselves have created a narrative that is impossible to ignore, fueling discussions across social media platforms, fan forums, and sports talk shows. The idea of a star player openly questioning the respect and unity of his team is the kind of story that gets traction fast because it touches on the human side of football, the drama, the ego clashes, and the emotional stakes that fans rarely see on game day. Beyond the immediate implications for the Dolphins, Holland's remarks, if they accurately reflect his sentiments, highlight a recurring theme in the NFL: the challenge of maintaining team cohesion in an environment that demands excellence, while simultaneously accommodating diverse personalities and high-pressure expectations. The Dolphins, like many teams, have a mix of veterans, young stars, and role players, each bringing their own perspective on leadership, accountability, and commitment. According to insiders, Holland's comments were less about personal grievances and more about the collective spirit, signaling frustration with what he perceives as a lack of professionalism or unity among the roster. Such insights, whether leaked intentionally or not, provide fans with a rare glimpse into the human dynamics that underpin the high-stakes world of professional football. Holland's willingness to voice these concerns, even in private, may be interpreted as a sign of leadership, a call to action for the team to address underlying issues before they become unmanageable. Yet, the very fact that these words have reached the public domain ensures that they will be scrutinized relentlessly, potentially amplifying tensions even further. The timing of Holland's alleged comments is also significant, coming at a moment when the Dolphins are navigating a critical stretch of their schedule. Wins and losses in the upcoming games could not only determine playoff positioning, but also influence the morale and cohesion that Holland seems to be highlighting. Insiders suggest that the team's response to his remarks could set the tone for the rest of the season. Coaches and management may feel compelled to address the perceived rift, either through team meetings, individual discussions, or subtle adjustments in leadership roles. For Holland himself, the situation is delicate. Expressing frustration publicly could strain relationships, but staying silent could leave internal issues unresolved. The balance between accountability and team harmony is notoriously tricky in professional sports, and the Dolphins may be facing a defining moment that tests both their strategic acumen and their ability to manage personalities under pressure. Fans, meanwhile, are watching closely, dissecting every interview, social media post, and on-field interaction for hints of underlying tension, and the rumor mill is already in overdrive. Of course, in the world of sports journalism and social media, rumors have a way of taking on a life of their own. Some sources claim Holland's words were more of an emotional outburst than a calculated critique, reflecting a moment of personal frustration rather than a systemic indictment of the team. Others argue that the comments reveal a deeper malaise, one that has been quietly affecting team dynamics for months. The truth may lie somewhere in between, and the Dolphins organization now faces the challenge of addressing the situation without escalating tensions or creating further divisions. Holland's star power and influence within the locker room mean that his perspective carries weight, whether it is vocalized privately or projected publicly. How the team handles this moment could have implications not just for the current season, but for future player relations, leadership development, and overall organizational culture. The scenario is a classic example of how high-stakes sports environments amplify both achievements and conflicts, turning private frustrations into public intrigue almost overnight. Meanwhile, fans and analysts are having a field day with the story, dissecting every possible angle and imagining scenarios ranging from locker room interventions to potential trades or role adjustments. Social media threads are exploding with speculation, debates about team culture, and predictions about how the Dolphins might respond. Some commentators frame Holland's alleged statements as a wake-up call for the organization, a candid reflection of the challenges inherent in managing a roster of talented yet strong-willed athletes. Others see it as the spark for drama that could either galvanize the team or deepen existing fractures. The narrative is already shaping up to be one of the most talked-about stories in the league, a mix of behind-the-scenes intrigue, personal emotion, and professional stakes that keeps fans hooked. In an era where transparency and storytelling dominate sports media, a player of Holland's stature speaking, even indirectly, about respect and cohesion adds an irresistible layer to the ongoing drama surrounding the Dolphins. What happens next remains uncertain. Will the Dolphins address Holland's concerns head-on, fostering an environment where open dialogue and accountability can thrive? Or will the situation fester, creating divisions that affect performance on the field? The answers may unfold over the coming weeks as the team navigates crucial matchups and internal evaluations. Holland, meanwhile, remains a pivotal figure whose influence extends far beyond his statistical contributions. His willingness to speak, even in private, reflects a level of passion and commitment that could either inspire positive change or trigger unintended fallout. Rumors and speculation aside, one thing is clear: the Dolphins' locker room, and perhaps the entire organization, is at a crossroads, with JEVON Holland's comments serving as a catalyst for discussion, reflection, and potential transformation. As fans, analysts, and insiders continue to parse the implications, the story will undoubtedly evolve, keeping everyone on edge as they wait to see whether the team can turn tension into triumph, or whether the whispers of discontent will become something far louder. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.